This is Viterbi Voices.
Coming to you from the University of Southern California, Viterbi School of Engineering.
We're here to give you the inside scoop on research, classes, student life, and so much more.
All of these shared by students, faculty, alumni, and other members of the USC community.
Welcome back, everybody, to Viterbi Voices. Oh my goodness, it is season 8 of Viterbi Voices. It is 2022. It is the end of August, and this is the kickoff, the trailer of our entire year. Viterbi Voices is a podcast that's been around for quite some time, and I am one of your co-hosts. My name is Paul Ledesma. I'm the Executive Director of Undergraduate Admission here at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering.
And hello, everyone. I will be your other co-host this season. My name is Maya Neuenschwander. I am, this next year, I'll be a junior at the University of Southern California, and I'm studying industrial and systems engineering, and I am originally from Hudson, Wisconsin.
All right, Maya, welcome to the podcast. If you're a longtime listener of the podcast, all two of you that listen all the time, you may have heard last year where we said goodbye to Emily as our host as she graduated. We brought on Maya. Maya is a junior this year. We're excited to have you. Maya, why don't you spend a little time telling everyone that maybe is new to the podcast or new to you, to tell them just a little bit about your background on what was life like in Wisconsin? How did you choose USC? What are some things you do at USC? And just give them a little bit more about you.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's a great question, Paul. I guess
it's a long one. Sorry.
No, starting off, coming to California from Wisconsin. First off, I love the weather. Could not love it more. I am definitely a warm weather, sunshine type of person. So it's been really awesome. And just USC in general, I love the community. The weather is warm, but so are the people. Particularly at Viterbi, I've met some of my best friends. I'm just so excited for this school. And I think that's what's really fun about being on this podcast for me, is being able to get other people excited about USC as well. And then aside from coming here, some things that I'm interested in. So industrial and systems engineering, I'm sure you'll hear episodes about it, and you've heard me talk about it in the past, but it's a pretty broad engineering major. It can be really applicable to a bunch of different areas, but particularly an area I find interesting is healthcare, and particularly healthcare inequity. I've done some research on campus, some interdisciplinary research with the School of Social Work and the School of Engineering. So working with data and different things that happened during COVID. And then this past summer, yesterday, I just wrapped up an internship at Medtronic, which is a medical device company, and I worked in operational excellence there. So interested in engineering, interested in healthcare, but also business. You'll hear me talk a lot about entrepreneurship and owning ideas. So yeah. And on the side, I have a photography business.
Wow. All right. So basically everything. You don't sleep. And you add on top of that, you're going to be producing the podcast this year. So let's just add as much as we possibly can to that plate. So I am excited to have you, Maya. I'm really excited for our listeners to hear more from you and to hear your background. Yeah, and it's just going to be a fantastic year. If you've never listened to Viterbi Voices, welcome. We're excited to have you. Let me tell you a little bit about how Viterbi Voices works. Maya here does a lot of work, and she arranges a bunch of different things. And I am just kind of the talking monkey that comes on every once in a while and says a few things. And I want to make sure that we get this off right from the get-go, because I get a lot of talk about oh my God, the podcast's so good. I'm like, I do very little. So this is about the amount of work that you get out of me. But the podcast is all about trying to bring as much as we possibly can from the Viterbi School of Engineering to you. And I am personally a big fan of podcasts. I know Maya's a big fan of podcasts. We listen to a lot. And we just like this audio form. To me, it's kind of this idea of passive engagement, where I can be doing other things, but listening to it and learning a little bit more, whether that's a news podcast, whether that's a deep kind of narrative storytelling anthology type podcast, or whether it's a comedy podcast, or whether it's just, interviews or things like that. I really enjoy podcasts, and they really help me. So I hope that this is helping all of you out there, that if you are a student looking to learn more about the admission process, to learn more about whether USC and the Viterbi School of Engineering is right for you, we bring students onto the podcast and tell their stories. We talk about student organizations, design teams. We bring faculty onto the podcast to talk about their backgrounds and their research and the classes that they teach. We have a number of different alumni that come onto our podcast and talk about their experiences, not only in choosing USC, but graduating from USC and their professional experience afterwards, and kind of the really cool, interesting narratives that start to play out across the board. And hopefully what you all get as either students or parents or family members that are looking at it is that you get an understanding of what this place is about and what we find to be important values and what we find to really just be neat things about this place. You'll also hear, as we go through the number of our episodes, a number of different admission updates. And so we'll talk about things as we get closer to the application deadline. We'll talk about different elements on how to apply. We may even have some of our admission staff come on for kind of larger open forums about answering questions related to the podcast, or excuse me, related to the admission process. So at the end of the day, I hope you find it helpful. While this is a trailer for the upcoming season, in season 8, and there's a lot of stuff that's out there, I encourage you all to go back to our archive, because we have nearly 300 episodes in 7 years of doing this podcast that I think are still as valuable as the day they were recorded. Because if you have a particular topic that you're interested in, let's say formula racing, there are a number of different episodes on our formula racing team over the last 7 years. If you're interested in things related to computer programming and computer science, maybe pick out some faculty that teach that particular discipline and learn a little bit more, et cetera, down through all these different elements. So I really hope that you enjoy the podcast. If you are listening on let's say Apple Podcasts, and you're able to rate and review us, we really appreciate that as well. That helps us out. And if you ever have anything you want us to talk about in the podcast, always feel free to reach out. You can always email us at our admission email address at vadmit@usc.edu. And as always, and I'll say this in almost every single episode, there's way more information about the admission process along with links to apply at viterbiadmission.usc.edu. Is there anything else we should talk about when it comes to how this podcast works? And I think ultimately you also want to give a plug for your guys' website as well.
Yeah. So I guess how this podcast is going to work this next year. I want people to know that I really want it to be an open forum. If you're a prospective student and there's an episode that you think we haven't done, if you have a pressing question, I would love to hear about that. So I think like emailing the VAdmit with any questions, and we'll try and make the Instagram this next year. We have an Instagram for Viterbi Student with the student ambassadors. So I think we'll try and do some Q&As there and collect some questions.
Great idea.
Like make sure we're tailoring these podcast episodes to what you guys really want to hear and things that you're interested in. Yeah,
I think that's awesome.
That's what I'm thinking going forward.
That's awesome. And there's also another website where you all are blogging at Viterbi Voices. So that's viterbivoices.usc.edu. Your Instagram handle again is Viterbi Student, where there's lots of great information as well. And I had another thought. This is why we should probably write things down before I go into this. We in the admission process this year. So for fall 2023 applicants, the one big change that we will talk about over the next couple of weeks is that USC is now early action. It doesn't really mean a lot other than we have a different application deadline than we have in years past. And so if you are planning on applying as a first-year applicant, and this is for first-year applicants only, if you're applying as a first-year applicant, meaning you're applying out of high school, then your application deadline in order to be considered for merit-based scholarships is November 1st of 2022. And so the application deadline is November 1st of 2022. To apply to USC, it is through the Common App. The Common App is open right now, so commonapp.org, or go to our website and we'll link you off across to it. In order to be considered for the Viterbi School of Engineering, you must make sure that your first choice major on the Common App inside the USC questions, your first choice major is listed as one of the Viterbi School of Engineering majors. And the way that you know that it is that all of the Viterbi School majors are pre-appended with the letters VSE. So make sure you do that. Make sure you get your application in by November 1st in order to be considered for merit-based scholarships. Early action is non-binding and non-restrictive, which means that we don't have any rules. It doesn't really mean a lot. You don't increase or decrease chances of admission because you put in for early action. If we're not able to admit you in the early action process, we will defer your application to our regular admission pool, and everybody will be considered equally across the board. So don't worry too much about that. All right. That's our quick little episode. Maya, it is such a pleasure to have you. I'm super excited. For all of you that are tuning in, stay tuned because we got a lot of cool episodes coming up in the next couple of weeks, and we will see you just about every Sunday. We'll release a new episode, and we might even have a couple bonus episodes thrown in throughout the day, or throughout the year. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.